the good life.
Hey guys, look at my kitchen. Another big exciting day in my kitchen. What are we making? Where we're going? Guys, we're gonna take a trip to Nona's kitchen. My grandmother, Nona Caroline, used to make this phenomenal, delicious, traditional bread pudding. So I want to go over that recipe with you. It's absolutely delicious. This is going to give you a little bit more of a flavor from Milan. Often it was made with a panettone, like a cake, like an Italian cake bread. And often what you would do is around the holidays, certainly around the winter, you would have that panettone that would be left over from either Thanksgiving or from Christmas, and it would get a couple days old or stale, and you would cut that up. So you can do that traditionally with any type of bread. So I want to show you how to take that bread and just add a beautiful, delicious flavor, another depth of flavor to it, as well as some beautiful, delicious ingredients from northern Italy. So let's start hitting some ingredients, putting this thing together. What do you guys say? All right, so number one, center stage, the big kahuna here is going to be your bread. So again, often you can use panettone, like I said. If not, we're going to take, in this case, like a baguette. I like a bread that has a crust, a texture. I like that browning, that flavor. It's got something to add other than just like the white, doughy portion of flour. Sour bread, a lot of different types of bread. So today what we're using is like a baguette, like a ciabatta bread. And what I did is I cut this into thin slices, and then I cut them in half, okay? So I've basically got either a third or a half of this bread, and I cut it down. So I've got about 1.5 pounds of bread. Okay, so I'm gonna set this aside. It's kind of cool. This is something, your kids start misbehaving in the kitchen, right? Start whacking them right there. Maybe not. I would never do that. My grandmother would never do that, nor would my mother hit me with a spoon. Next, we gotta get the ingredients together for that pudding. So I've got 2 cups of whole milk, okay? And I've got 2 cups of heavy cream. I mean, delicious already. You already had me at the cream, right? Fantastic. Now next I've got 10, hang on to your hats now, okay? That's right, 10, baby. So we're gonna use 8 eggs, whole eggs, and then we're gonna use 2 egg yolks. What I've got here is a 1/2 pound of mascarpone cheese, all right? Oh, absolutely perfect, delicious. It adds that extra depth or flavor, and we're just getting started, I'm telling you, okay? Now I want to sweeten this thing up. I've got 3/4 cup of sugar, white sugar, and I've got 3/4 cup of brown sugar, which has got, oh, that just smells so good, which has got that molasses, right? Adds that, again, depth of flavor, deliciousness. I've got 1 stick of whole butter, again, ideally unsalted. If you have salted butter, just don't add any salt, because that obviously would incorporate your salt, okay? Now I've got 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and oh, that is just so good. I remember when I was a little kid, and vanilla and sugar and eggs and all that, it smells and tastes so good. I remember I took the raw whole vanilla and I was like taking a big sip of it, and oh my God, it's terrible, right? So that was a shocker for me. And then I've got nutmeg. So I've got a 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground, nutmeg. I mean, anytime you're dealing with cream or cheese, I mean, that is a must. It's a mandatory in Italian cooking. And then I've got a little bit extra texture that we want to add, another little depth of flavor. So I've got a little bit over a 1/4 cup of walnuts chopped, and the same with pecans chopped, and the same with almonds chopped, okay? So a little bit over 1/4, maybe 1/3 cup chopped. I'm gonna mix those together, and what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna mix those in with the bread, but we're gonna hold back a little bit with the sugar and the butter, and we're gonna use that as a topping before we bake it. Oh my God, this is great. I've just begun. I got some other tips that's just gonna blow your mind. We've got a little salt. I always use pink Himalayan or gray sea salt. Today we've got pink Himalayan because it's sexy, okay? I don't know if you guys noticed my towel here, kiss the cook, right? A cook can be hopeful, you know what I'm saying? So, and we've got olive oil. Now, we're not gonna add olive oil to the dish, but as you guys know, I always do my plug here. I own a farm in Italy, Puglia, Italy. It's just above the heel, and it's where some of the best olive oil in the world comes from, because the environment to grow those olives is so perfect. So we make our own olive oil, Vito and Joe's. It's grassy, earthy, peppery, absolutely delicious. And that's something that you guys can grab anytime. You can go right on Amazon, punch in Vito and Joe's olive oil. Comes in 1.5 liters. You can go right on our Facebook and click buy it now, or you can go right on our website, Cooking Italian with Joe, and it'll direct you right to our online shopping. Perfect addition to any kitchen. I call it a trip to Italy right about. All right, so let's start cooking. So the trick here I want to do is I want to add extra flavor to the bread. So I'm going to take my 1 stick of butter and I'm going to melt the butter down. Butter's melted. I got the oven at about 375, 400 degrees right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the butter and start drizzling it over the top of the bread. But I want to hold back just a little bit of the butter. Hold back a little bit, maybe 1.5 tablespoons, okay? And then what I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm going to take my almonds and I'm going to put them in there and hold back a little bit of the almonds. Again, maybe 1 tablespoon or so. Same thing with my pecans, same thing with my walnuts. Now, without even giving it a stir, with everything right on top, I'm going to throw it right in the oven and I'm going to leave it in there for a good 15 minutes or so. Now what I'm going to do is about every 5 minutes I'm going to then mix it up. I'm looking for browning. I want to brown and roast the nuts, but I also want to brown and roast up some of the bread. I want to add a little bit of brown or crunch to the bread before I add my pudding mixture. And that's going to give it an absolute delicious depth of flavor that you traditionally wouldn't get if you just added it. Don't forget your trusty timer. So I'm going to pop this in about 5-6 minutes, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir that. I'll show you exactly what that looks like. Now I want to make my custard, so I'm going to meet you guys right over at the stove. I've got all my ingredients right over here by a pan. So I've got a saucepan, medium size, a whisk. Okay, I've got my eggs all set. Okay, my 10 eggs, right? So I've got 8 whole eggs, 2 egg yolks, and all the rest of my ingredients, okay? Another tip that's really important to make this come out like mwah, absolutely delicious is if you guys subscribe to our channel. How do you like that transition? So there's a red button right down here and you gotta click it, and then what that does is that makes you part of the family. So when I say that, it means any new trips, any new recipes, any new ideas that we have, they'll actually come right to your inbox or right in your notification. And like I said, I'd love to have you part of the family. Love to have you a subscriber, certainly mean a lot to me. Now let's start making some custard. So first thing I wanna do is start adding my liquid. So I wanna add my cream and my whole milk. In goes our milk, in goes our cream. And once I put that milk and cream in, I want to just set that on a really low temp. Next, I'm going to add my mascarpone cheese, okay? Oh, this is good. And don't worry, that's going to melt right inside our custard. I'm going to add my vanilla, and I'm going to let that just set for a minute until everything starts to dissolve. Okay, while that's setting, I want to take the eggs and I want to give them a good stir. So I want to incorporate all the eggs before I add it into the milk and cream. And then I'm going to add the eggs nice and slowly. Now the mixture isn't hot yet because you don't want to curdle or cook the eggs. You're just getting it to where it's starting to come almost room temp. Now I'm going to add my nutmeg, and you're almost making like an eggnog. And now I'm going to add my white sugar, but I'm going to hold back about 1 tablespoon. Okay, just a bit. And I'm going to add my brown sugar and hold back 1 tablespoon, just a bit. And now I'm going to give it a good stir, and everything's going to dissolve and marry all those beautiful flavors. I'm going to put a pinch of salt. Now the eggs are going to add a delicious flavor, especially those yolks, but they also add the ability of this to set. So you want your pudding to set, so the protein within the egg will help it solidify and set all in the bread. You guys having fun yet? I think I'm ready for a kiss. What do you think? A little kiss to the cook? Yeah, what the hell? So we're gonna go with this now just till it starts to steam. We're not trying to bring it to a boil. Just a little bit of a steam. Now while that's happening, every 5 to 6 minutes we're gonna be turning that bread. It's been about 5-6 minutes and our timer went off. So now what I wanna do is just gently, I wanna stir up my bread, real gentle. And we're gonna do this a few times until everything starts to brown. Custard's cooking, bread's browning. You guys are thinking about kissing the cook, you bought some olive oil, and you subscribed to our channel. Video's going great. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to add those last bit of nuts. So I've got my almonds, my pecans, walnuts, white sugar, brown sugar, just that leftover, and then I'm going to add that last bit of butter, and then I'm going to mix that all up together. And that's going to be that stuff's so fresh, it's jumping right out of there. Did you see that? And then this we're going to use as the topping for the bread pudding. All right, just pull this out of the oven. I want to show you exactly what we're shooting for here. See how nice and crispy that is? It's beautiful. So I want that browning. You see that browning that I've got on the bread right there? Crispy. So that's gonna add that depth of flavor that we want. We got all the nuts on the bottom. Look at that. See all the nuts, how they're all roasted? Oils are coming out. That adds a flavor of depth and richness. Not only that, but a texture. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our custard into the dried, browned, caramelized roasted bread. Get yourself a ladle, the custard, and the bread. Now we're just gonna soak it. And then with a spatula, the goal here is to make sure that all the bread is saturated with your custard. And it might seem a little bit soupy here for a minute, but all that's gonna absorb into the bread, so just give it a few minutes. Now I'm gonna take the almonds, the pecans, the brown sugar, the walnuts, and I'm gonna just sprinkle that deliciousness, you know, that added level of texture. Now this is set. I've let it set for about 10 or 12 minutes. It's absorbing all that beautiful custard. Now what I wanna do is I wanna put it in the oven at 375 degrees, and it's gonna go for about 40 minutes to 45 minutes. What I like to do though is I like to put foil over the top, loose, don't seal it. Just lay the foil over the top so some of the steam can escape, but it doesn't allow the top to brown too early. And then what you'll do is you'll pull that off after about 20, 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. And then my mouth's watering just talking to you guys. And then I'm gonna let the top of that brown, it's gonna crisp up, you're gonna pull it out. Hey, did you guys get your oil yet? Did you subscribe yet? Did you like us at Facebook yet? I'm gonna pop this in the oven. The kitchen smells unbelievable. What do you say? Let's check this guy out. Oh my God, does that look great or what? Look how beautiful that is. You can hear it, listen. Oh, can you see it? See all those little crispies? All right, so while that cools, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of my heavy cream. Yeah, I'm gonna make a little whipped cream here. Perfect side dish. Yeah, we're taking a trip to Nono's Kitchen. And Milan, what the hell, why not? Talk to you guys in a minute. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes. Bread pudding's ready to go. Made a little homemade whipped cream. Oh, I'll tell you, the smell in here, unbelievable, okay? So I've got a couple of knives here, so I'm gonna cut into this guy. And it's still hot, I'm not kidding you. But we're not gonna wait anymore. You know, just getting close to it, you can smell that custard, you know, the vanilla, the sugar, the egg, the bread came out perfect. It's got that nice crunchy, toasty, caramelized on the top. Oh, that's good. I'm thinking it needs a little whipped cream. Call me crazy, call me crazy. All right, I'm gonna put a little whipped cream off to the side. Just perfect form, it's just still cooling. I got the whipped cream going. Oh, you know, you can smell the nutmeg, the custard, the sugar, the brown sugar, the walnuts, the almonds, the pecans. You know, oh, my mouth is watering. So I wanna grab a nice perfect bite, you know, the bread, which is just, you know, soaked and cooked then with a custard, and then a little bit of the whipped cream. Oh, that's good. It had me at hello. I love the top. Immediately it's got that crunch, that texture, a little bit of the crunch of the sugar, right? With the brown sugar and the plain sugar and the butter, and the almonds and the pecans. Oh. And then the whipped cream I put on there, just catch it. And you got the beautiful flavor of the bread. But my God, the custard is just, it's just fantastic. Oh, I just got a couple pieces of walnut and pecan right there. Oh my God, it is good. It's definitely kissed the cook time, there's no doubt about it. You know what I'm gonna have right there is a little, I'm thinking a latte, right? Sitting down, taking my time, have a second piece, just to make sure everything's perfect. Molto buono, that is absolutely fantastic. And that is a great recipe. I mean, literally any time of the year. But you get around that holiday time, you know, from Thanksgiving on, well, I'll tell you, you can't have a piece of that every day, but boy, you can certainly have a couple of pieces around the holidays. Make sure you guys subscribe to our channel right there. Want to have you part of the family? Grab yourself a bottle of our Vito and Joe's extra virgin olive oil from our farm. You can get it on Facebook. You can get it on our website, Cooking with Joe and Joe, or right on Amazon. And don't forget, guys, spend some time with your family in the kitchen. Shut off the electronics. Shut off the cell phones. Make an absolute disaster mess on the kitchen counter or on your dining room table, and set those traditions and celebrate your heritage and create some memories that last a lifetime. Have a wonderful holiday season if you're watching this during the holiday season. If not, have a wonderful season all the time. Until next week, mwah, bon appetito.
The good life, full of fun.